Moon River is a King Domino variant with a Western theme and with tiles that you will build using half tiles that kind of look like puzzle pieces, as you already see from the cover and as you're gonna see in a second. The box is used during gameplay, so you will shuffle all the tiles and then place them there in a random order, so that pretty much that's where you have the draw pile and they will stay kind of organized, or say disorganized that way. The tiles represent, again, they look like halves of puzzle pieces. I guess they look like full pieces, but they look like half of a domino tile. And they have numbers printed from 1 to 6. When you draw them, you place them in ascending order with the lower ones next to the box, and then we go down this way. If you play King Domino, you probably know the general idea, which is that the ones that are closer to the box are usually not as good as the ones that are further from the box, but whoever gets that one gets to choose first for next turn. So you always trade in good tiles right now for opportunity. You also here have a board with represents the saloon, with tiles that represent helpers that you can hire during the game using either the side with illustration or the generic cowboy side. We'll see what that means. Ultimately, you score points for multiple sources. A big one is having large territories with a lot of cows on them, cows being represented by these wooden pieces here. Super cute. So, players will alternate selecting a tile, and suppose that that is what has happened right now. So green will take the tile and they'll go first, and then maybe they select that tile there. And orange selects that one, and white takes that one, and purple collects this one, but then is stuck with that one. And then, of course, when we set up the next turn, we repeat the procedure. We draw 4 tiles and we place them again in numerical order, like so. Oh, pretty good. Draw 2, 4, 5, and 6. And this time, purple goes first, and purple really wants this one, for example, and so on and so forth. So that's how we, of course, purple also collects this one, purple we collect this one. So what happens to those tiles that we collect? Well, thank you for asking. I thought you'd never ask. Each player has a personal tile looking like this one, and this is the one for purple, so you know I wasn't making stuff up. When you collect a tile, you place it into one of these boxes. And when you have at least 2, after you collect the tiles, you can choose to build them and attach them to your land. If you have 3 tiles and you collect a 4th one, then you have to build at least 1. But in this case, for example, I could place and build 2. When you build a place a tile, it needs to be adjacent to either a bridge or to a tile with the same pattern. And so, for example, I could do this like so, because a bridge, so I can do whatever the heck I want there. And then next time I could do this, or I could do that. And so again, you're building your little Western Empire there. Now you see that there are several things printed on the board. When you place a tile, if there is a cow symbol, then it's pretty simple. You place a cow there. When you see there's a circle, that's when we go to the saloon and we hire people. Again, suppose I hired these 2 because I got 2 circles. Again, that should have happened when you place down the tile, but I'm not giving you a full tutorial here. When you can place any and all of these helpers with the cowboy side face up, and when that happens you get 3 cow moves. That means you can move a cow up to 3 spaces, or if you have multiple ones you can combine them. So for example, say 1 and 2, 3, for example. You get 3 cow moves. If you place them on the other side, then you look at what it means. And for example, there are some tiles on the board that have nuggets. Each nugget is worth 1 victory point at the end of the game. This guy gives you extra victory points, an extra point per nugget. Corn, each corn symbol is worth a victory point at the end of the game, but also cows cannot get in there. This guy gives an extra victory point per corn. I find that very powerful. Beavers, there are beavers on the board. Each is worth a victory point. This guy, if he's in your tableau, will give you an extra victory point. All of these helpers also have another advantage, which is they keep an eye on your cows. Because some helpers that people may use will steal your cows, but only if they are unguarded. So if they're in a territory that doesn't have a helper, that territory is fine. We're good there. Can't steal them from there, but placing this on their tableau, they could take that cow there. Another symbol is the drought here. The drought only matters when you put down, when you actually placing the tile in your tableau, then you would technically kill a cow in that territory. I say technically because it's fairly easy to avoid that. It's like a minor inconvenience to work around and time it so that you don't kill your cows, because again, usually, remember, you're gonna have a choice. And so I still have to see somebody losing a cow to a drought. And then we have another helper here that forces, that lets you trade a tile from your personal reserve with somebody else's, and they're forced to accept your trade. So that's how the helpers work. That's how the game works, really. Meaning, using the selection process that I showed you earlier, you're going to acquire puzzle pieces or half tiles. You're going to use them to make tiles, and you're going to place them. That will also place cows on the board, will place helpers. Helpers sometimes will move the cows around. And you play until players have built a 5x5 square. 5x5, but 24, because this one is already there. They have built it, or they have a chance to build it. If you mess up at the end, you may not be able to place your last tiles, so your territory will be smaller. But you have a chance of making it up to 5x5. And at the point, you score points, and points come from various sources. Again, stuff printed on the board, corn, beavers, and nuggets is a point each. Helpers will give you extra points. When it comes to the territories with cows, is the number of squares in a territory times the number of cows there. So this one is 2 squares, it has 2 cows on it, so that territory will give me 4 points. This territory is 3 squares and gives me 0 points because it got no cows in it. Now that would be 3 points, now that would be 6 points. Whoa, 9 points maybe, even. I think you get the idea. Collect points from all possible sources, and the player with the highest score wins the game. When I was reading the rulebook, a question that I had for myself was, well, we do have Kingdomino, and that is a great game. Do we need a more advanced version that clearly takes probably a little longer to play because you gotta make your pieces, and it's a large territory? Well, after playing the game, the answer was a resounding, oh yes, we loved it. My group and I played it with 4 people. We loved it. It's a really fun implementation, and it was nice that we had some players, such as myself, who had played Kingdomino and the variants that came afterwards, and some people who had never played Kingdomino, and we all loved it. We all loved this version. And yes, it doesn't overstay its welcome. The extra step of creating your tiles to me became a resource and an advantage, and what I hope it would be, which is something fun that adds to the experience. If you're gonna add a step to a game, well, that step better do something, otherwise you should remove it. And the flexibility that was given to me by the fact that I could delay when I built my tiles wait until there was a better option. It felt to me it seemed to me to elevate the experience of gameplay. Maybe that's something that people will not like. There is maybe more control, and some people think it's too much control. They like the push your luck element of the original game, in which if you get a really good tile this round, you're gonna be stuck with possibly something catastrophic next round. Here's more nuanced, because if you get a really good tile this time, you get stuck with something okay the following time. Even if you get a drought, you can usually wait. Don't place it right away. Or place it right away so you burn the effect, and then later you can add to the territory and pile up cows there. But later you'll need some cowboys to spread them out to get to score. Also, if there's a square at the end of the game with more than one cow, that's overgrazing, so they're reduced. So the step of building the tiles and delaying when you place them and when you build them gave me more control, more strategy, more options, and I really enjoyed that I could build up to some really nice and cool engines. The other extra elements with the helpers, that means more game effects to trigger. Placing a cow is great, but then I want to move it to a territory where it is also awesome. And all these other paths that you have to score points from the corn, the beavers, the nuggets, the helpers that multiply that, they can be powerful. But if I get one of those, then I don't get another that maybe places more cows in a really large territory. Lots of interesting options, a lot of things to consider, multiple paths to victory, a lot of scoring options, almost like a point salad. And so that you know, I like point salads, so no problem whatsoever. Yeah, I guess that's maybe something about the flavor of the game. Like every turn I thought I was getting something good. Either good right away or building towards a nice engine. There was a very satisfying, constantly satisfying feel, turn after turn, even though I still have to win a game, but I enjoyed every game that I played, so that's not nothing. Moonriver, it is a more complex and more nuanced version of Kingdomino, but not one that, because of that, makes it a hardcore game by any means. Kingdomino is so simple that more complicated than that means, well, potentially still light, which is the case here. The game is light in terms of rules, but I find it has more decisions, more paths to victory, and more rewarding gameplay than the original Kingdomino. Definitely, I enjoyed it a lot, and I think I do enjoy it more than the original game.